So I just kind of want to talk about like the aircraft you fly, very almost on a daily basis. And like in my opinion, it is like my favorite jet. It's like maybe the most advanced passenger jet manufactured so far. What is your favorite aspect or feature about the Airbus A350?
Uh, just to bring in a point from before, you remember you talked about the emergency descent on the 220.
Yeah,
It is
yeah,
also on the 350, so that's
okay,
also one of the
yeah,
systems that we have. For me,
yeah,
I like because I studied engineering before, as you mentioned, so I like the
yeah,
shape of the wing, particularly because it makes it so much more aerodynamic. Now, let me tell you, I'm not sure exactly why and how, but it happens with 350 that it takes quite a long time for us to climb at an altitude
yeah,
compared to a 777 or 787 for that matter. But when we are at an altitude, that wing is so efficient, it burns very less fuel and gives us
yeah,
a Mach cruise speed of 0.85. So that's
okay,
the
yeah,
basic feature that I love about the wing, that um, it's very efficient. It's a very aerodynamic wing.
yeah,
It has something called as a differential flap setting. So when we are in the cruise, once the aircraft is
yeah,
in the cruise, the flaps come out slightly. I think it's a degree or two, and they can be adjusted by itself by the system to adjust the center of gravity to maintain the most aerodynamic profile as much as possible. So that's what I love
okay,
about it.
yeah. And I think I had like watched a video. So like the A350 can fly at a higher altitude than maybe the 777, right? So then as a result of that, you can avoid like storms or bad weather in any
Of
case.
course, of course,
Yeah,
of course, yes.
yeah.
Yeah. We have a cruise altitude of 41,000 or 43,000, depending on the aircraft type. Uh,
Mhm.
Yeah, I've been up to 43,000. Uh,
Yeah,
Definitely, it's much better because then you can, as you said, avoid most of the weather. But it also depends
yeah,
on if you're heavy or light. If you're really heavy, you can't climb that
yeah,
high.
yeah, yeah.
But it is a factor, yes. If we are light enough, we can go at a higher altitude.
Okay. And one of the coolest features I think about the A350 is like it can fly almost, or like a safety feature is like it can fly, I think, for almost 6 hours just on one engine, and the jet can reach almost a speed of Mach 0.89. So in essence, it just kind of seems like Airbus is trying to, push certain limits of engineering or break certain records. And like, what do you think Airbus is just trying to demonstrate or achieve with the production of this jet?
Uh, well, you see, what most of what every manufacturer is trying to do is get his products sold.
Yeah,
What Airbus is also trying to do is how do I say it? To sell such a product to an operator, whatever airline it is, so that it will help the airline to expand its routes. So
yeah,
for example, flying from Hong Kong to say Seattle in the US,
yeah,
if it
yeah,
was not for these airplanes, we would have to go following the coastline. So from Hong Kong, China, Japan,
yeah,
Russia, and then
yeah,
onwards to Alaska, all those islands, and then come down south over Canada, and then come down to Seattle. Because if there was an emergency, you couldn't be far out over the Pacific, and then you don't have an airport to land. But now, because of
yeah,
these advancements in technology, because the jet can fly, as you said, with a single engine to a further place, now we could just go from Hong Kong straight over the Pacific, crossing Taiwan, over the Pacific, over the Hawaiian Islands, and straight into San Francisco or Seattle, straight off over the Pacific
yeah,
Ocean. Because if there's an emergency, the plane is certified to fly over the water and reach an airport which is 3 hours away, 4 hours away, whatever it is.
yeah,
So that's what
yeah.
the manufacturer are trying to do, is to build such an airplane that will make it efficient for airliners to operate and to fly newer routes and fly further places by just using the same aircraft rather than making a new aircraft.
Oh, okay. And like just as like a follow-up question, like do you think other manufacturers or Airbus will kind of keep this aircraft as like just as a base of reference or just like a model, or will they maybe just try to innovate from scratch or something? Or
See, before the 350 was made, they were planning on something called as A3XX. That's what the Airbus was
yeah,
planning to do. They tried putting the 330 and the 340 side by side and on top of each other, and that was what came out was the
Yeah.
380.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
380 was, as everybody knows, it was not really efficient, and it's not making any much
Yes.
money except for Emirates.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
so the 350, as of now, it does look like it's going to be a reference model. It is going to
Yeah.
stay for a while. That's how it looks like, because it's so much more efficient. And the most important cost factor for an airline is the fuel. So if the airplane is saving fuel, um, that's the gold mine for the airline. So I think the 350 is going to be the reference, and then future generations will be probably based on what comes out of the 350.
Yeah.
They are
Sure.
planning a 350 freighter model. I think Airbus is considering taking orders for the freighters now. I don't know if somebody has posted an order. I don't know yet. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think
Mm.
it's going to be a reference model here.
Sure. And so, like, so you're obviously